Hey, how's it going? Oh geez, it's Jim, and I'm gonna try to show you a couple of these bike repair stands that I was using. I'm wanting to purchase myself, and see if I can show you some things on them, maybe let you know which one I go with, and maybe this will help you out. So there's a third stand so I had a little bit of a video snafu. I'm not even sure what happened, to be honest. So I shot the setup of this stand. So we got the Feedback Sport Mechanic and Parktool PCS-9. The third stand was the Venzo Stand off of Amazon. That was $89 US dollars when I bought it, and it was the reason I bought it because unlike a lot of the stands you see on Amazon, they have all the plastic knobs. This one was all aluminum, and I thought that was gonna be awesome. I'll put in a little video of what I was able to save. I had some issues with the camera. So basically it has an adjustable mast, if you want to call it a mast. The minimum height was about the same as the Feedback Sports, which I'll measure here in a second. And the max height was very close, but it was slightly shorter. It had an adjustable shaft on here. When I put it on the bike that I'm going to show, the e-bike, which is 54 pounds, and the Venzo stand was rated for 65 pounds, it immediately wanted to fall over, no matter where I positioned the mast. So I had to pull it in so that the pedal just barely cleared the support here, and then it was okay. But still, if you would kind of hit it, it felt like it was going to fall. Definitely wouldn't want to raise it up, and it's definitely not going to be able to rotate much. So it's going to. So I got my scale here in my hand. So I don't know. I returned it already. I already returned that Venzo stand, thinking it might be the best because it was light. The base was almost as wide as this Feedback Sports one was, so I really thought it was going to have a lot of good things going for it, and it just didn't work out for me. I'm not sure if I would trust it to rotate everything. Kind of gives you another direction of rotation. Again, with this pulled in, it's not too terribly. I mean, it's still not that strong. I wouldn't want to go much above the weight of this bike. You see about that really is resistant to turning that way. It kind of works. It's just not that confident inspiring. The one thing I noticed on this Venzo stand is because when you have it locked in, it doesn't have a huge amount of that it releases up. So if you're on the seat, seat post, you don't, and you release it, you have to release it and then crank it more. It doesn't release as much in one mechanism to open it up far enough to get your bike out. I'm definitely going to go with this Feedback Sports one and return this Venzo stand. It's not bad if you had a light bike or we're doing some really light work, because it is lighter and cheaper. But then with the stability on this, it's probably worth looking at one of those cheaper stands that I didn't go for that has the cheapy looking knobs. I wouldn't go with the ones that have the plastic integrated teeth for the rotation. That seems just a little suspect to me. So I returned that. Like I said, I'll play a little bit of that video. But right now I'm going to do I'm actually going to weigh both of these and get and I'm going to call out some of the dimensions. Some of this I'll probably put in the video, some of it I might not. The way that the clamp is shaped when it's in there, just the difference. Let me go on this side of the clamp shape. Hopefully you're able to see that there. The jaws for the two stands, the Feedback Sports are kind of shallow. Like they go, they're like about 1.5 inches deep, and you basically get 2¼ inches on the Parktool, the entire jaw width. Of course, one of the things you're going to see obviously is the Parktool has 2 legs and the Feedback Sports has 3. I wanted to try both. I know that probably this wouldn't be as good on flat ground, though it does have a third one. It's just way, you know, it's kind of the way it is down there, is, you know, almost looks like it doesn't. Obviously the Parktool sticks out a little further. I'm going to bring them a little closer together so you can see it a little better. Of course, you can see that the legs on the Parktool are not fixed, so they kind of flop around a little bit. Weight ratings: 65 pounds on this, 80 pound rating on the Parktool. Now I'm going to pull them up to their max height. So there's a stop on the Feedback Sports. Now, one of the things that the Parktool, I feel they probably should have needed, but this is a, you know, here, the prices on these stands. This was a little over $140, and this is almost $160. Neither of them were on sale. That's just kind of MSRP. But with the Parktool, the mechanism for raising it is just on, see, look right there. It's just a clamp. So it's a very simple mechanism. So that's about as far as in there as I can clamp it. It's a pretty big difference. I didn't expect that. Of course, Parktool goes lower, doesn't go as high. Again, to make it a mountain bike, it's 27 pounds. One other thing I showed you that I just noticed when using the Feedback Sports is a little extra tubing that sticks up here. Works really well for holding paper towels. And you know, you can kind of, depends on where you have the Parktool stand stopped, you can kind of do the same thing here, but then your little lever is blocked. But it's kind of cool that you have that option. Yeah. All right, 27 pound mountain bike. Alright, so the Feedback Sports holds it okay. I'm just going by the seat post, which is kind of what they recommend. And I'm going to show how it's connected here. So, just connect on the seat post there. The one thing I wanted to show is when it's connected by the seat post, you can see how this mechanism is stronger this way. If you can visualize it, I'll try to turn it. Well, actually, I'll turn it right here. So I'm going to raise it up, lock in place, and I'm going to try to rotate it. Now, one thing I noticed before on this is it wasn't really liking to stay put when I rotated it. Like, I really, see, I'm really having to, see, that's about as tight as I can get it. And actually, you see right there, stand isn't nearly as stable that way. Put it between the two legs. That's, if I hit this very hard, it would topple over. So I find with this stand, I really have to torque down on this, and there's not a lot of leverage. And still, you can see, okay, there I kind of got it. But if I wrenched on it, it would just go. So I'm stability wise, especially when it's down further, you know, maybe down this far, super stable. So I'm gonna bring up the Parktool stand. I'm gonna throw the bike in that one, see how that goes. Both of these being budget stands have sort of a little lower tech pins mechanism. I actually haven't used these stands at all, really, so you're kind of getting to see real-time struggles. Alright, that was simple enough. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up just to see how. I got a penny in my pocket. See how it does. Now, like we saw before, it doesn't go up nearly as high. So I'm going to tighten this down. What I would probably do is I'd probably put a quick release on here, just like any part of, you know, seat post quick release or something. I think that would be helpful on this upper bolt. But see right there is And I like that, and I'm going to bring the camera over here. The mechanism for, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Yeah, the mechanism on the Parktool just seems, clamp is simple, holds it well, but having the extra leverage, and this doesn't seem to be a lot compared to that, but it makes a huge difference. I mean, think one of the, of course, where you had your bike stand set up with the Parktool, you kind of have to have it oriented between the legs going this way. Alright, I shouldn't crack up, but I can't help it. With the feedback sports, you could potentially stick the stand and rotate it around. Of course, then you have a potential kick hazard like you don't over here. You just have to weigh that for yourself. So I'm going to pull, rotate this back down. Then I'm going to put the heavy e-bike on, which is really what I got the stand for. This bike is 54 pounds. One thing nice about the feedback sports is the way you can kind of just set it on here, and there's some rubber on the top of the rail. It doesn't look to me like the cushioning on the jaws would be as easy to replace as the Parktool. Just, I don't see, let me look on the inside, maybe there's some screws on the inside, but on the Parktool there's little keeper, what are those called? Can't remember what those type of little washers are, but you can basically pop off the replaceable rubber jaws. Alright, so that's in here. So like, this is a 54-pound e-bike. The stand is all the way down right there. That's not bad. Let's see if I orient it towards a leg. That's probably, yeah. So that's, if you can, it looks like with the feedback sports, it does behave better over a leg. That's real stable. Height, not too bad. Doesn't seem like it affects the stability that much. And this is where this stand hasn't been my favorite. Okay. So I'm gonna bring the height down. I mean, it's kind of doing it, but it'd be, if you're tilting the bike up to do any wrenching on it, it wouldn't be great. What I want to show is this portion of the mechanism I was talking about. See how it's kind of pulling away there, so there's not as much strength outside of this support, so different angles it's not as strong. Alright, into the Parktool we go. You know, I was thinking it was going to be a little easier than it is, because it doesn't really freely spin, which I guess makes sense, but, and it does look like there are bolts on the inside, some Allen bolts holding this in, so probably that cushion is replaceable. Alright, so Parktool. First off, I'm liking how, let's see, the clamp's really solid, really easy to tighten down. With the weight centered this way, I'm feeling it even more stable than that centered over its leg. Just for when I raise this up, I'm also going to turn it to the side to see first, to see Okay. Yeah, basically if you start getting basically the center, pretty much have to keep this suspension arm inside of the triangle of the legs. It wanted to tip over. Still quite stable, I think. Now I'm going to try to turn it. So the turning mechanism for flipping the bike, and you know, is so much stronger on the Parktool. It's basically a conical washer, if you will, going inside of a hub, so they kind of mesh together, and so it's got the equal pressure pretty much at any way you would turn the bike. I'd have no problem flipping this upside down. And of course, if I was actually doing work on this e-bike, I wouldn't have the battery on it. So that would drop it another, I think the battery on this was 7 or 8 pounds. So this is kind of a close to worst case scenario. But, so the mechanism isn't as quick as some would be to release, but that's not bad. So, what are they made out of? So this tube is steel. So is the so the main tube on the Feedback Sports is steel, and it looks like the legs are aluminum. I'm pretty sure everything is steel in the Parktool. Yep. Yeah. So there you go as far as material, and I'm gonna fold them down really quick. And assembly, just briefly, this Feedback Sports was fully assembled in the box. So I would close this just because this one spins pretty easily. That drops down, tighten it back in. Make sure this is all the way down. Undo this knob. There you go. Easy. Stays together real nice. Kind of some varying things online if it actually folds down. It does, kind of. So the legs you can see are kind of floppy. That's because of the way it has to fold. So you pull, there's a little pin down there and you pull it up. So it's of course a little, I would use a piece of Velcro here to pull that together. And I would probably also, I don't know if I would take this off or not. I'd probably just leave it like this and know it's going to take up quite a bit more space folded up. But, I mean, that kind of gives you a form factor. I mean, it is what it is. I guess the benefit of that, I mean, if you took this off to save some space, you'd still have the shaft sticking out. So really the only real way to save space would be to pull this mechanism off, and I wouldn't do that. So I would just fold up the legs like I just had it and store it that way, knowing that it takes up a little more space in this one. So, which one would I go with? This Parktool's about $20 cheaper. Pretty basic, but I like it. I like the ability to tighten down the bike in different positions a lot more securely and more quickly than on the Feedback Sports, which maybe if it had a longer arm, you could probably even take this off and put more of a lever, something with some leverage in there. It'd be helpful. I do like how light this is. I'm a little disappointed in its strength, support at all angles. So even though potentially you can move a bike around a lot more with this setup, I don't know if in the grand scheme of things if you really have that much more flexibility with this. These definitely are both better than that Venzo, and I would bet that most of those inexpensive bike stands, especially if you're wanting to turn the bike, if you're just working on the bike flat and don't care if it gets too high, And honestly, probably any of these bike stands will work. Yeah, I hope this little go through helps. It's hard to find a lot of information online on these. Oh, did I talk about assembly? Oh, I did talk about this one's assembled out of the box. There was a little bit of assembly. It was really just a couple bolts down there on the bottom and putting this in. To me, the assembly on this is pretty easy. If you, not to sound like a jerk, but if you can't put these bike stands together, you probably wouldn't really be doing many bike repairs unless you're just using it for cleaning, I guess. But yeah, so I hope this helps a little bit. Got a little bit of nice weather. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Catch the wave, feel the